moving past that.
Moving on.
Look, we didn't even have it really in the segments here, but I figured we had a good natural conversation about it, so I figured we can talk about Aaron Rodgers.
It seems like when Aaron talks, everyone gathers around.
And so here's the thing with Aaron. I think everything's super calculated. He knows everyone's going to talk all that.
He knows what he's doing.
Right, he obviously knows what he's doing. But at the end of the day, like, there is some genuineness to, like, he feels something in a moment and he just goes to that. He gravitates to whatever that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's on, like, I think he's really just taking that corner with his career to say, like, hey, I'm focused on me, and I'm only going to give a shit about the things that I need to focus my energy and give a shit about. And it's very evident. He does what he wants. He says what he wants, but it's all very, articulate.
Yeah.
It's very educated. All of his takes seem to be very calculated, as you said. So my thing about Aaron is I think he knows what he's doing. He knows how to build it up. And, when he put that message out last night, what did you think he was going to tell you?
I agree with you on that. That was a great way to get some people talking about him, which I don't think that doesn't hurt his...
Get some clicks going.
That doesn't hurt him at all. But I also think that he wanted to help his friend out because he loves people. There ain't no question about that. The people he loves them hard.
Absolutely.
And like Pat McAfee is one of them, and he knew he was going on Pat's show.
Yep.
I know people are going to watch that, and he had what did I calculate? Like about 1/60th of the whole country,
the entire nation
watching. At least of the adults, I think is how I calculated it out.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was. I mean,
so
Pat was floored. Aaron wasn't even on, and there was like 87,000 people waiting for him.
So that adds into the message a little more.
Oh
and on top of it, like he actually did feel what he wrote. Like he was just very happy and thankful for everything that was in everybody in his life.
Very reflective. What I took away from it was, when you're in the season and you're playing and you're Aaron Rodgers or you're anyone who plays at that level, you're so consumed with that week, the current thing that's going on that week, and week to week he had a bunch of things going on that weren't football related, even going on in his head. Mm-hmm. So not only did he not have time to reflect then, he didn't even have time to really, I don't think, know what was coming out of his own mouth at times. So when he went into his little chamber and where he mentioned a cleanse or whatever that may mean, I think he really had time to sit down and say, okay, well, let me step out of this and let me sit in someone else's shoes who loves me, who supports me, who said, and then he was like, oh man, well, I put these people, I made them really vulnerable by just speaking what was on my mind, and they were taking shots, they were hearing things that they probably shouldn't have had to go through. And I don't think that Aaron should be the fault of that, but I think that just goes to show that these guys are human, and they also need some time to reflect and to bounce back and say, hey, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. It's not how I really intended it to be.
And what you just said there, I think, is what something that I've never been able to, like when I talk about Aaron Rodgers, I think I come off a little negative, but what you said there is something I've always been relatable to him. Like, as much as he's always, and I didn't like him being in his career because he always threw people under the bus in my mind, but it was more of accountability. And right there is accountability.
Yeah, sure.
And Aaron Rodgers is like, he took it, right? Like, that's not going to be talked about throughout the media. No. That's not going to be all over the...
No, they're not going to talk about that like they did about his vaccine status.
But to me, that is like I think you're right. Like it's harder to formulate a process when you are fully dug into. I mean, his job wasn't 60 hours a week. His job was 160 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly.
And then while he was sleeping, he was dreaming about that job.
Yeah.
So
and waking up and being slandered on every single outlet he possibly could.
And that's the other thing. Like, I don't care about how he feels about any of that kind of stuff, but I am intrigued on how he feels about things in the world. Whether I agree with things in the world that he says or not, or whether it's that, or whether it has to do with football, whatever it is.
I think it's intriguing just watching him grow as a human being.
And that was just, I mean, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. Like, it's actually really awesome to see, like, where he, like you just said, saw he didn't understand where he was last
Yeah.
year. Listen, like he's a human. You're allowed to be lost. Like we're all allowed to be lost.
Yeah.
And something that he does, and I try to listen to the world as well type thing.
Listen to the universe.
And I feel like him and I
love
that's
Mr.
why
at the Pat McAfee show.
But that's why I love. That's why I think there's things that I really do love about him. Is like that's a real genuine how he felt about his two wide receivers.
Yeah.
Like he said today in that interview with Pat that when they took the picture and they separated because he always stands in between them and they have their own. It was about their love and friendship individually and as a group and all that. Like that is something that I fully can understand, relate to, connect. And something that I love, like because I love, and that is just such that's not football. That's him and his boy, like exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he tagged Randall Cobb's wife and Bakhtiari's wife in the post as a thanks as like the Friday date night. So like I took away that Aaron and all these guys need a portion of time to step away and reflect on just what goes on around them because they live such a different life and they don't get that chance on a daily basis and they're either told one of two things, you're right or you're wrong. Yeah. No one's listening to what you say, you're either right or you're wrong.
That is very true. There's no context. And that is, to me, context is a big thing with everything in life, but especially with what you're saying there, it's just one or the other. And context is everything in that because listen, whether it was the COVID thing or about a play that he made in the third quarter, context is going to matter the most about why he made that decision in that moment 100%, for whatever it is.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think that also we've been having this conversation under the pretext that the people watching are following along that like he didn't dismantle, but a lot of people's mind he almost tried to dismantle the Packers and listen. Whether it was a calculated version of trying to do that, whatever it was, the fact that he grew and he loved the fact that they were like, no, Aaron, whether we agree with you're right or not, we're just going to say you're right, and we're going to give you everything you want, and we're going to do what we can. He appreciated that. And like, dude, you can't ask for any more from a franchise or a player right there.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're an organization who has Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and you're not asking him for his input on things, there's a problem.
We're not. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that 100%.
I fully think Aaron had every ground to stand on to say, hey, listen, like, involve me. I want some say.
That's back to the being intrigued by everything he talks about, not just about football, but especially about football. When it comes to football, that is my favorite thing to listen to Aaron Rodgers talk about. And I do feel like in those meetings and conversations, everything, he's going to have a lot more to offer than almost anybody in the conversation, no matter who they are.
Yeah, but, on the flip side of that, I would say, if the Packers are giving him this, I see him going back there because I think now it's to the point where I think Aaron wants to be like, all right, we did it in Green Bay because no one wanted us to. But with him getting this new respect and loyalty from the organization, he's got to go win a Super Bowl. He's got to go win a Super Bowl.
So a couple of things there. I think last year, if you would have asked me, like when he was doing all that, like having those conversations, I wasn't hot and cold, but like one day I'd be like, it's 50-50. One day I'd be like, no, he's definitely out of there. Right now, I'm 100% with you. I don't see him going anywhere, but what I do think right now, he's playing the let's get Devontae a real contract game, but they're going to have to franchise Devontae to get those conversations to continue. That's fine. It's normal practice.
I think as long as they're transparent and they're open and they say, hey, Devontae, and Devontae goes back to Aaron and says, hey, I feel like they're being real. I feel like they're being honest. Everything's on the table. I think they'll work together.
But the two things and I agree with that. But the two things that need to happen then, if they get them both, they need to go win a Super Bowl because
they need to go win a Super Bowl.
They are mortgaging a lot of. They're gonna have to do a lot of work in the future once everyone is gone, or even if Aaron's still there. They're gonna have to do a lot of work in the future to build this at some point because you can't kick it down the road forever as much as you'd like to. The salary cap just doesn't work that way, and that's what the NFL is great about. The Packers are like the Steelers in the sense of they always do such a good job no matter where their cap's at, but it is still a concern. There's just no question about it.
It's always a concern, and I mean, they just need to button up a few things, and I think they'll be.
But as long as you have Aaron Rodgers,
you're in it.
And he's this committed, which, by the way, when he did talk about football in the Pat McAfee interview, he sounded pretty committed. I felt like to football, and not to a team, but to football.
I don't want to be one of those people who like reads into every one of the context, but he did say when he was talking about his recent treatment that they tried or whatever he did. he did say to Pat, he said, well, it's kind of something you would do if you were getting ready to do something really athletic. So, I mean,
right.
Yeah. So, and
He's getting himself back.
I don't think he's going anywhere. Not yet.
I would agree. But what they're going to have to do, and we'll